I was lucky that over the summer I was able to get my album finished and recorded. But before the lockdown happened, I got a lot of production out of the way. So
Okay.
then it was just kind of like minimalistic things. So I was able to spend more time on, let's say, networking or on learning how to use software or learning how to just picking up new skills and developing new skills so that when things kind of reopen, well, you've added to your toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't, I don't really believe in kind of like just sitting idle. No, like you take a break if you need for a short time, and then you got to get back up and start grinding in other ways. Find and develop different things. As an independent artist, it's constant learning. Like you always have to kind of one up yourself, learn something new, improve your skills, and especially maybe it's just kind of like a female ego in the sense, but I never wanted to give somebody an excuse to doubt me. So
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't feel like I was ready to walk into a room and have a conversation with somebody, why? And then go and do something about that. So even if I made a mistake because I was nervous, like especially in like performance, you never know. Like when you perform on stage, it could happen. You make some mistakes when you get stressed. But even through those mistakes, I wanted to be at a point that I was confident enough that people could see that it was just a mistake and not because, oh, she doesn't know enough or oh, she's not good enough or oh,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So that's just maybe it's like a personal ego thing, but it was always like, no, learn enough and train harder and fight harder and just work and put. I think it's just about good work ethic. So sure, I think any lazy person would say, oh well, I couldn't get all this done. Okay, well you didn't do anything else, so you just wasted your time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for you, do you ever feel, um, like, do you feel as a female artist, it's harder than it is for a male artist in the sense breaking into the game and getting that recognition and that respect?
Uh, I don't. It's a 50-50. Not necessarily. But I guess depends who you ask because like I know a lot of female artists that would say yes that it is harder. From my experience, no, I don't feel like it's more difficult. I just find at least in the way of booking shows, um, I know it was the most noticeable for me. So if I walked into some club or I walked into a bar or I walked into any place and said, hey, like I want to book a show here, and I would walk in with let's say a guitar player that was a male,
Mm-hmm.
well, even though I was the one asking the questions, the owner would just go and respond to the male guitar player.
Male.
And it was always like this. And so that was where I noticed it the most. And I don't want to just blame it on like I don't want to blame gender and say, oh, I'm a female artist and it's harder as a female. No,
Okay.
it's possible, but again, that's where like me being kind of a bit competitive in that sense, I would be like, well, hell no, I'm gonna go and make sure that I know everything I need to know about putting on a show or about doing this or about doing that. So when I walk in there, they can't help but talk to me. I
Mm-hmm.
know my show so much that they can't ignore it. So, you know,
So you just recently did a show. Tell me about A, how the show was and the preparation and the planning for you doing that.
well, it turned out great. I was happy with it, and so was everybody else. It seems. Um, I
Is there a
think what
place that people can tune in to see the show if they missed it?
Not yet. I'll
Okay.
post that when the company makes it available like that. But at the moment, they're still working out some logistics. So it was just kind of like a live stream that we did on Saturday. It went really well, especially for like kind of a first time run. And it's a new company in Montreal that's kind of putting on these virtual shows and things like that. Um, we did like we have curfew in Montreal where we shut down at 8 o'clock
Yeah,
every day.
my boy. I was talking to my boy Ben today, and he was telling me about that. I'm like 8 o'clock. I'm like, the fuck you doing the whole day then? Like he's like, dude. He's like, by the time I get in my car at 12 and drive across town, he's like, by 5 o'clock, he's like, yeah, I got to figure out like what I can get done within the next 2 3 hours before I got to run into the house. And he's like, if I and sometimes I only get one thing done for the day because I'm already on going one into the fucking Montreal. I gotta go there. I mean, so I mean, I don't know how you guys are dealing with it. I mean, to me, that's just criminal, man. Just criminal.
It's yeah, I mean yeah, it's annoying. I don't know how long it's gonna last for, but for now it's still in effect, so it's still until 8 o'clock. So for us as a band, it was pretty hard to practice because I mean people were working until 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Get to destination in half an hour to an hour travel time, especially with traffic. Rehearse for an hour at least. You know, we needed 2 or 3 hours to get polish things up, and then drive home. So we were never able to find a good time to practice. Plus, we weren't allowed to go to people's homes, and usually we just kind of rehearsed in somebody's garage. So we were pretty lucky that the company had got permission to host this event, and they gave us
Okay.
permission forms that if we were pulled over, like we were allowed to be doing this. Which fortunately we were never pulled over at any point, so that was great. But no, it was tough because it had to work around the venue and being able to go rehearse at the venue and making sure our time was really efficient. So we had a lot of personal practice time on our own just to get our shit together. We show up, we know what we're playing, get it done.
Okay.
But no, it turned out really well. I think it's something we're gonna do again for sure. Which I'm considering doing my album launch that way, since I don't know if there's any other way to really do it. So
Did you find like it was less pressure doing it virtually than performing in front of a live audience?
So that was actually something I talked about live on Saturday. It's that in general, I find I'm somebody that has stage fright, and it's gotten better over time. It's like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. But as someone with stage fright and not really performing in a year, it started to creep back up. So during rehearsals, I was like, damn, I feel not only rusty, but like really nervous about how this is going to go down. So doing it live, it was weird because it helped on the stage fright aspect. But also was a little awkward because you didn't know, you couldn't feed off anything. So you didn't know if like a joke worked, or you weren't really sure if people dug it or not. The dynamic was different, but I think this could grow on me.
Okay.
This was something that I would definitely consider doing it again, until we could get back to the whole live situation. But it was really not that bad.
So for you, I mean, in the sense, number one, like with this whole lockdown, in a sense, I mean, do you feel that live shows will ever come back at this point? And when they do, like, do you feel that if they do, will it be a huge difference in the sense, number one, for the industry and for independent artists?
I hope that it does come back, but I think now that labels have seen how much they're saving and how virtual is an option, I think it's gonna change how touring is gonna work for sure. I don't think any artist is gonna be thrilled about that, like not having that human contact anymore, or But I think the way that tours are gonna operate is gonna change for sure. Just maybe if they do like a half and half, that maybe part of the tour is gonna be virtual and part of it's gonna be live. I don't know, but if virtual can be perfected, and I'm sure it'll continue to improve, I think that's going to be a real way of going about performing.
Do you feel that will hurt the music industry in the sense, number one, like not just the industry itself or fan aspect, but for the financial aspect for the artist?
I think it could. I think it could. So they're probably going to have to come up with different. There's going to have to be a shift in how they charge for concert tickets and how it's all going to work. Maybe things that they can sell during shows, if it be it in the way of advertisement or what, I'm not sure. But I think there's pros and cons to that, because I think a lot of artists are going to be really excited about being able to be home with their families and to kind of have more of a personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think any artist would object to that, because I'm sure that like when they're on the road, they suffer too. There's a lot of mental health amongst artists being away from home for months and years sometimes. So that being said, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, but I think that there's going to be a hit somewhere. There will be a drop in income, but maybe the way that they're going to be able to gain would be worth it.
With the things that you have, as you said, have gone through, the trials and errors and the ups and the downs and the mistakes, what would you tell a young December Rose from going back to now to do? Would you change anything? Would you do things differently? And what, if there was something you do differently, what would it be?
To be honest, I kind of wish I didn't listen to so many people. I think that someone gave me some wise words a couple of months ago, and they said, you know, everything that you need is already in you. And I think it hit different when I heard that, like, more recently, because a lot of the things that I'm doing now and a lot of the ways that I'm creating my content or making music is stuff that I've already lived, or things that it's been my personal life, my personal journey. And I don't think anyone no one could create that for me. That's stuff that was already within me. So I think that having listened to so many people getting to this point, be it, you know, industry people or labels or PR agents and show bookers and the peanut gallery, was really distracting. And it made me question. I think it made me question my story. It made me question my identity and question my value and contribution to the industry. So much so that I think it just delayed everything. So, yeah, if I were to go back in time and talk to young December Rose, I would say, you know what, kid, like just get in your room, go write, don't listen to anybody. What do you want? And I think that was maybe something that I lacked, is that nobody really asked me, what do you want? What do you see? What do you hear? Who are you trying to reach? I think that those were some basic questions that I kind of wish.
I asked you that the first time we spoke, though.
Yeah, but this was like, you know, recent. But if somebody had asked me this getting started, like way back when, I think it would have saved a lot of stress and a lot of error. Or maybe someone would argue that I needed to kind of have those errors so that I could find my way, which arguably is true as well. But
I always believe, you know, without struggle, there is no progress, and without progress, there is no road to success. You have to go through those struggles in the sense, number one, to find out who you are, to figure out, because I always talk about number one, like, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes along the way. Just don't repeat the same mistake twice, because after that, it's not a mistake anymore. It's a choice. You can either learn from it and grow, or continue to keep making the same mistake, and then you can't blame anybody but yourself. And that's the problem, is that people is like, when they're not getting to where they want to get to, they're always like, well, it happened because of this and happened because of that. And I'm like, but if it keeps happening, it's not the other person. It's you. Hold on a second. What's this person say? Question. Spend time reflecting back on life. Hold on. I can't read this. I'm fucking blind. Hold on.
Thanks, David. I'm definitely gonna be doing that.
Yeah, but go back to what you were saying in the sense, number one, like you would tell your young self in the sense not to listen to anybody.
Not to listen to so many people. I think that the other thing that I had to learn along the way is to always bear in mind, like, who's giving you the advice and why. So you have to question the source, right? Because the peanut gallery always knows best, you know? They always tell you, they always know everything. Just kind of like how American Idol came out and suddenly everybody knew everything about music. And everybody knew everything about what a singer was. You know, so just because Simon Cowell could criticize and could judge and give comments, suddenly everybody knew what a good singer was. So that just.
But to me, Simon Cowell is no different. Like, in the sense of giving opinions, it's like people on social media. Like, everyone's got a fucking opinion. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's factual, but everyone's got an opinion. And I tell people, like, there's nothing wrong with having opinions, but it's when people try to impose them on you and make you feel like, number one, it's like, wait a minute, you're not writing my fucking story. Like, I'm writing my story. I know what I've been through. I know what I've gone through. I know in the sense, and to me, it's like, and that's why I said, like, before, when it comes to music, not everyone's gonna like your shit.
Yeah.
Not everyone's gonna like it. Everyone's sometimes, it's fucking trash. But you have to know for yourself. It's like, okay, and I think this is where I think a lot of artists,